Hey Soma fans, so I haven't done a video like this in a while. I just wanted to do a kind of bit of an update on a general kind of feedback for the server, kind of some of the forum posts that have been going on, and I just think that a video of my opinions summarizing a few things up actually on video would probably help putting a few things into perspective that most people are talking about on the forums, basically. So I just want to remember to start, before I start this video, that this is my opinion. If anybody's offended or doesn't agree with my opinion, and then that's completely fine. I just wanted to put my view across on my channel, just to kind of let what I think. I think I've played this game for long enough to hopefully have an educated opinion on what's happening. I'm playing the game quite a lot at the moment, just trying to cap my character. So I do see a lot that's going on, and I am in communication with a lot of people from the game on and off Soma, people who haven't been playing for a while, and generally just playing with people who are leveling, kind of like Loopy and people like that. We talk pretty much all the time when we're leveling. So I do think I've got a good educated opinion on where we're at right now. So it's the thread that Soma Wizard put on, and I was actually chatting to Soma Wizard after he posted this thread, and I just messaged him on WhatsApp. I said, it's a good thread, and I put a few replies on it myself. So I actually just want to come across the four things that he's suggested here, and I want to just express my opinion on them. Number one being the community issues. This is kind of based on a low user count that's happening at the moment. I think there's a few factors into why the user count's low, and this is kind of what I wanted to address in this video. One, actually, generally being there's a lot of other games that have just come out at the moment. There's the Assassin's Creed, the new Call of Duty, and Red Dead Redemption's out on Friday. So I know that other people have been playing them. I've actually been playing a bit of the Call of Duty myself, and it was playing the Assassin's Creed. So Knight was playing the Assassin's Creed, and we were talking about that the other day. So I think in general there is other things going off at the moment, and it's that time of year where a lot of games do come out. So I do think that has an effect on the user count. As a community, in my opinion, the community's actually never been better. Obviously, everyone knows the history of the Soma and history of the rivalries and the bitterness and the toxicity and things like that. And genuinely, it's better now than it's ever been. I've spoken personally to a few of the people who I think have been quite counterproductive, should we say, to the server. And there's still a few people who are in the game, and the thing is, that's the way it always will be. And you know what? Playing Call of Duty online with headsets reminds me how genuinely toxic people online gaming are. I mean, I was playing like in a team of four, and there's this one guy who was just shouting at all three of us who weren't doing what he wanted us to do. So in general, I think it's the best it's ever been. The general vibe has been great. There's been hardly any kind of world shout people and abuse and harassment issues and things like that. It's all been relatively quite nice. People are kind of just getting on with it. The increased grind. So this is the second thing I wanted to come to. I think if you look at it from a kind of the bird's eye point of view, when this server came out, majority of people would probably have been in the mid to late 20s. Mostly probably some of them in the early 20s saying that. But we all would have been around 25-ish, I would say. The majority of views, I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm just saying, the time it came out from eSoma to when this was released, I would say probably more than 50% of the user count would have been around that age. Now, most people at that age, they haven't got as many commitments as they have when they start hitting their 30s, and especially the mid 30s. I think now a lot of the people playing have kids, have careers, have other things going on, and generally, life has kind of taken away from the time where you could just play 16 hours straight. And I think that you got to cater for that demographic in the community. I'm kind of looking at this as more of a business point of view as well. What demographic you got to cater for this game. It is the people who are going to play 2 to 3 hours in an evening when they finish work and the kids are gone to bed. They're the majority of the players that you need to be focusing on to bring them back. The guys who are hardcore, the Chinese, the Koreans, Loopy, those people you don't need to worry about. They're going to play regardless. They're the ones who will just play as much as they can, and they enjoy it, and there's no issues with trying to cater to that demographic. So the ones who only want to play for a few hours, but they want to be rewarded in those few hours. So there's a few things that I think can be done. I'm not going to talk about the new boss or the new drop rates for the new mobs. I'm actually going to talk about generally kind of leveling up from kind of 1 to level 110, because a lot of these people who haven't been playing created kind of generation 1 characters where they weren't the plus 50 stat mobs. They kind of just leveled on what they could, when they could, and the stats compared to a plus 50 stat person who's healed quite a bit are drastically quite different. And the difference between now with the boar mobs and the troll mobs and the equivalent mage mobs, they only give 1.0 stat gains. So if there is a huge difference actually between a character who's healed and done 50 stats compared to ones who haven't. So for example, I'm just going to take Sub-Zero's and Alexis on Fire's stats. Sub actually had better stats 3 levels behind Alex. I think Sub was like level 113 and Alex was maybe 116, something like that. And I asked him what his stats were, and Sub actually had better stats 3 levels behind him because Sub healed to 68 int, I think it was, and did the plus 50 thing all the way through, where Alex didn't. And I think that has a big factor into it. So I can imagine a lot of people with Gen 1 Char's character thinking, what's the point of coming back? Everyone's got super characters now, and I've got to have to start a new character again. So how can we make it so people want to do new characters? I've got an idea of a character I want to do, a new one, but I know that it's such a kind of a long slog, should we say, to get to go 110 now. I don't contemplate myself doing it anytime soon. I don't think there's any issues with speeding up, especially 1 to 100. That can be a lot quicker, and making the drop files relevant. I think anything up to level 50, you can pretty much get to level 50 in a really recently a couple of days, to be honest. Especially if you've got someone tanking, say Devilfish for you, if you're doing the plus 50 stat thing with a bow, which is the majority of what people will do now. But it's when you start hitting the mobs that you're spending a lot of time on. So mainly Horde of Shannis and BLG, because you're pretty much going to switch in between them two, for the majority of this leveling. Kind of level, I'm trying to think, kind of level 60 odd to, over 100 probably if you're doing a lot of decks. You're going to be on those mobs quite a lot. So if we actually go into the armory now, and we actually look at I spell Horde. Spelled it wrong. Dyslexia, there you go. Yeah, let's look at the Horde of Shannis drop. So, you kind of can do these to about 100. I think it's 124 decks off the top of my head. We've done Sub-Zero and Spider now like this. So I've spent a lot of time leveling Horde of Shannis with 99% evasion. You sit there in the middle of the spawn, and it's a very easy way to level. But there is so much junk. I mean, all of these items here. The only item that actually really worth doing are kind of Spirit Powders and Egg Piles. They're so rare. The smalls are fine. It's the Narwans where the Narwans. The Narwans are there. They're probably the only actual item that are worth, getting at this point. You will literally get all the blood armors, all these Staff of Skies. You're literally going to get about 500 Staff of Skies a day. All these items are completely irrelevant when you get to that level now. So I think a revamp of Hoarders would be nice to include, the Apis-bow level weapons. Bone armor would be nice. Attack rings, things like that. So things that you're going to actually use, and even obviously you got the egg. I would say an increase actually of egg piles. And an increase of Narwans as well, so that people can work. So at that level now, you want to work on your evasion. You want to work on a decent leveling weapon, kind of Apis level weapon, and probably some sort of deck. So maybe even these dropping a DT wouldn't be the end of the world as well. Just make it so that when you're spending your time on these, you do spend a lot of time. You kill tens of thousands of these when you're doing that plus 50 stat thing. So you're actually coming away and building your gear up for that character. There and then. So, I mean, and just get rid of all the junk, get rid of all of this. You don't need any of these things on them. I personally majority keep the gems, and keep these. These are handy. Dark Shields, Bloods, all these can go. The rocks are so common now. I don't think anyone's really going to be using any of these. Vortex are decent, Warp Necklaces are decent. Obviously, they need the essences, but there's about half of these items can go. Kind of all these from upwards can disappear. And the HP pots, no one really would ever use these, or maybe just change these to 100. That's the majority of what people would use on these as well now. Just think of revamp of this because you spend so much time on it. You do get to here relatively quickly. So if it's a time issue with obviously the Game Master's revamping, rather than doing all the mobs from kind of like bricks all the way up, it's so quick to get to Shannis. You're talking a week, you're going to be probably here realistically, especially if you're using, if you're doing a second character where your first character is probably tanking for you. I'd probably start on these, if not maybe kind of the Palace. I think Palace should probably do before these, but again, you're not spending a huge amount of time on them ones. And then the Beast Lord Guardians as well. So again, these I always had quite rewarding hunts here, but I did spend a lot of time here mainly because of the rubies. So the rubies are brilliant. I think most of these items on here are fine because the drop file's so small on this. you end up, if you did a full hunt there, especially if you get the capture the flag, it's okay. I never had any issues with these, but there is no other items on here, as in, there's no weapons or armors or accessories and all the other stuff that you would do. But you do get a rewarding amount of rubies. So it's one of them where it's a catch-22 where if you added more things, does it? I don't know how this works. Does it lower the chance of what you get a ruby? I don't know. If it does, then I would probably think twice. If it doesn't, and you can keep the rubies and the DTs and stuff the same, then yeah, there's nothing wrong again with adding the stinger level weapons to these as well, because that's definitely what you'll be using then. So you got the blue wave axes, the snake bites, etc., those things. Add into these, and I think then at least and again maybe increasing the egg piles slightly, so you can start to upgrade these weapons a little bit. But at this point, I think these definitely should have stinger level weapons, on there, and I think then that would make the kind of the leveling path, especially the longest part, which is Hoarder to BLG, a lot more worthwhile. So let me go back to the original thread. Here's got feedback. So yeah, and obviously speeding up the grind up to that point. I think going up to level 100 relatively quickly isn't a bad thing at all. Maybe even giving X amount of free rested to say, at least I know it used to be to level 50, but then obviously they increase the speed. Maybe just increase the amount of rested that you get, or how relevant the pots are at that level. So obviously, with kind of 30 to 40 pound donations, you can pretty much get to level 100 with full rested all the way through. I don't think that's a bad idea either, in my opinion. So yeah, increasing the grind. I think the grind as of kind of level 110 onwards, I mean, boars are about 3 times quicker, I think, than trolls at the moment. So I think they're relatively okay. And obviously you're getting towards the cap level then, so it's not the end of the world. It's slowing down when you hit the boar monster. Increased grind as of trolls, it's a catch-22, because obviously if it's too fast, people get bored and they stop. If it's too slow, like I think it was like 3% an hour with decent gear on, it's kind of mind-numbing. I'm pretty happy with how the rates are at the moment. I think I'm kind of level 115 and a half, I think. Kind of what we're now. We're kind of 5 or 6 weeks in. So it's about right. There's nothing wrong, I don't think, with the rates at the moment. So I just think it's the journey from kind of level 0 all the way up, and maybe increasing con speed as well, because obviously con's an absolute fucking ball ache. So yeah, that'd be nice to see. And then at least the people who've thought, right, I've got a Gen 1 character, I can make a Gen 2 character now, I can do all the plus 50 stat thing, I'm gonna get decent arms as I go up, and then I'm going to be catching. But it's not going to take them 12 months to do this. That I think would bring a few plays back, and then would give the incentive for people who have capped, who say, let's say they've capped a melee character and they want to make a mage, they can then go back and make a mage. And talking about mage, actually on this, so I'm talking about that was a drop files for the melee characters. I think Nightmares, so Raves, Nightmares, Priz, and Shaman, again, have a look at them. I've not really leveled mages, I've only just helped Rocky a little bit and helped Cupid a little bit, but I think someone else maybe who's done them all the way through could do. But I mean, I know that Nightmares are not very good. I think definitely they dropping CTs and toes would definitely help, and even the proc vials or the base items of the proc vials, so like the Cyrus plates and the anthracites wouldn't be a bad thing for Nightmares as well. Okay, the new boss. I'm actually going to go to a thread for the new boss, which Knight did a good thread, and there's been a few actually threads for Negamare. Okay, so I'm just going to tell the story about kind of Negamare, my experiences at the moment. I've done probably 6, 7 Negamares, mainly I think 3 on H-Soma, the rest on D-Soma. The last H-Soma one, it was an hour and 25 minutes of killing the actual Negamare, and it dropped a rare Bloodstained Blade. So you can imagine I've put a video as well somewhere on the forum about this. From start to finish, okay, so from time 5, I was PMing people to get them to the portal, and then I was telling people to, which stone to go to. So it's kind of, as a group, we were organising it. We had Kuang there, we had a lot of people there. I can't remember off the top of my head who was there, and that was great. It was great to have that. That teamwork, that we got involved and we all had to go and raid the devils, and we had to go and get the crystals, work together, and if someone died, we had to go and try and get to their crystal, and then we had to defend our crystals on the H-Soma side. I think it's a great concept, and I think it's absolute genius. It really is. So that side of it's great, but it does take some organising, and you're doing this at time 6, realistically organising from time 5, because you've got to then, gear up, you've got to get your pots, you've got to get your feathers, you've got to run to the portal, then you've got to organise where everyone's going. So realistically, it's kind of time 5. You've got to start doing this. And then if you activate the crystals and you're all successful, it's time 8 that it starts spawning. So we all went in at time 8. Obviously, we did. So this is another thing as well we found quite confusing. So we tried to do it where it was fair for everybody. So we killed all the ads and turned all the stones grey before we started attacking Negamare. So basically, no one was getting absolutely destroyed by the ads and getting hit by the Negamare. So we're doing it as a teamwork, and this seemed to work, but it was a lot slower than I've done it before, because normally if you attack the Negamare whilst the crystals are different colours, he will eventually say, you cannot hurt me, and then you have to kill the ads then. But at that point, people are getting absolutely smashed by them. So it was slower, but it was better for everybody, as in nobody had to go and kind of run away because they had no pots. We all worked as a team, and we basically all were hitting it equally. So, basically we all had the chance of getting, the last hit. A few issues with this. One, it took a long time, and people can't really understand what's happening with the crystals. We understand that the green ones don't change, and we presume that the green ones heal him. There was red, there was blue, and there was, I think, pink. And again, I can't figure out what they were. You can kind of think, right, red would maybe mean it hurts him because it's red and it's blood, and it's red's, kind of the attacking colour. But pink, no idea. Blue, again, no idea. Maybe it would be nice to have, if there is a quicker strategy to kill it, because it took so long to kill. I'm not sure. I think basically, obviously the time killing is important. Another issue is, if you say you did put it into 2 teams, and one team did the ads and one team to kill Negamare, the team who are killing the ads don't get the drop because they're not hitting Negamare. So this is kind of why we had to do it that way for Hate Soma. And obviously, when you run back in, you kicked you all out, and then you run back in, and obviously, the person who got the last hit get the drop. So I think there's a few really good examples on here. You can obviously come and read this post, but there was a few really good ones. I think Loopy had a good one, Evil Fox had a few good ones, and things like that. But I'll let you read this post rather than going through it now, because I didn't make any notes on this post. But I think. But I don't think the last person getting the drop should get all the drops, because it's just going to basically turn out the highest melee damage. 5th swords and the spears are doing very well, is going to get the drop. So everybody who kind of involved, from the raids, from the organising, from killing the ads and all that stuff, they're going to get no reward. I think if it dropped a number of items that were all frozen on the floor for say 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and it gave everyone the chance to run back in and then click on the item they wanted, and it was obviously first to click gets it. I think that would be better. And then the ads dropping something, so if someone is killing an ad whilst one person's killing the Negamare and the Negamare dies, at least a person killing the ads has got a chance to get some small gems or something. I think that would be quite nice. Well, I just think there's a few tweaks that could be done to the Negamare. I think it's a genius idea, I really do. And yes, maybe it's so hard to kill because we're not doing it right. So it would be nice to maybe just find out what we should be doing with the crystals, because it's kind of, I can't really understand why those pink and blue. I don't get that. We understand what happens when they turn grey and when they turn green, but the red, pink, and blues don't make any sense. I can't figure out why would it be pink, and what difference would you do if it was pink. Again, if anyone sheds light on this, it'd be great. So that's kind of the 2 cents of Negamare. There's been quite a lot of talk about Negamare because people want to do it. It's just that it's not worth it at the moment. It really isn't, for those reasons. And then I want to talk about drop rates. I think drop rates in general for the new mobs are probably the biggest factor in, I think, at the moment, why the user count is lower. So you got to think, the server's been going 5 years, and people have had 5 years to make the items that have been available for the 5 years. So all the keen eye items, all the CT items, all the the strength items, and the proc items, and the current up to stinger level weapon items. And 5 years is a long time. You got to remember that 5 years is a long time to grind, and this is probably when people were playing a lot more, and when a lot of people had, free run of the bosses, a certain guild who just basically had the bosses all what they wanted, and they could make a lot of gear from the drops. So to change, to kind of go for another 5 years, I don't think it can be as grindy as it has been to make kind of items that are just slightly better than what you've made before. So I'm actually just going to show you now. I'm just going to pause actually and try and make the screen a little bit bigger. So 1 second. Oh, keep running. Okay, so this should work without changing the screen size. So this is obviously my character sub, and I've done 2 hunts today, so I've probably done 2 hours, maybe just over 2 hours at actually both spawns. I did the Merc one first, and I did the VOD one second. So I just want to show you kind of what I've got so far. So I've got some, actually bones and HP whistles. I'll put them back after the first hunt. So this is more than that. It's probably double, should we say? I got an untag OTM. I got a hard snake bite. I got a hard Titus top female, small jade, untag helm, untag stinger, untag pan, hard helm, untag boots, and 2 hellish vows. Now, out of all these items, I actually can't use any of them technically as a melee person, should we say. The jades, yes, I can turn into the attack potion things, but obviously I've got no molten oils. But all this is kind of junk, should we say, for me. Obviously I can train the hell vials, but I'm not a mage, so I don't really get why hell vials are in here. I'm actually going to show you the drop file in a minute for these. The Titus, I mean, I'm getting a lot of it and a lot of untag. I'm in 2 minds of the Titus. I think it's good because we can get it and combine it, but the combined in from the helm and the boots, it stays the same 6% after rare tag. If it went to 7% for epics and intense, I could see why then people want to make a better, spend an extra 5 keen eyes or God knows how many keen eyes to make a better helm that'd be 12% accuracy rather than 11% accuracy. But it doesn't. You only actually get a very small amount of defense. I mean, look at this. The untag's 8 to 15. The hard untag's 8 to 16. It's only kind of like 0 to 1 or 1 to 1 better the higher you go up in the tag. The pads actually do go up in attack. The pads don't act like the other ones. They go from kind of like 5 to 15 on untag all the way to kind of 7 to 21, I think it is on the intense, or 8 to it's 9 to 21, I think it is, the biggest ones I've seen, maybe. So the pads work quite well, but all the untag stuff doesn't. I think in general, just drop in untag, because all of this is complete junk. Like, I'm just going to be throwing these on the floor when I go to town. But that's kind of where it's at. I'm going to show you these items at the bottom after. I want to talk about that at the end. So yeah, I've not had a lot of success hunting-wise there, and the items that are dropping are either untag or female or such a low tag that it's not really worth doing. So let's just pause it, and then I'll go back to the. Okay, so if we look at the drop file for trolls, there's a lot of useful stuff in it, but again, I'm not sure if the more in the drop files, the less chance you get of an item. I'm not sure if that works. There's a lot of good stuff. I think all of these are relevant. I presume the sapphires are used for something to do with a new proc. I'm not sure why it doesn't drop rubies, because rubies are actually a huge importance now for the melee characters. And I'm going to do melee characters first. I'm going to talk about mages in a second, by the way, so before anyone starts getting triggered and say I'm only talking about melee characters. I'm actually going to come to the wasps in a minute. There's a few things that I think aren't probably needed on here. Again, hellish vials, I think they're a mage item. I think this used to be on the mages. I don't know why they're on here. All this is fine. Again, the drop rates of the items on here, I've said it before, and this is my opinion, so no one, please don't get offended by any of this, but they're just shocking. For some reason, gauze and pans are dropping a lot more common than any of the others. I don't know if these have a higher drop rate. I would bet a lot of money that they are, because I'm only really seeing gauze and pans. So I've done 5 levels there, 5.5 levels. Tom on Spider's done about 6, I think, and at the moment, we've made 1 epic crossbow. We've got 1 rare and 1 hard in the stash. So these aren't dropping at all. They're just so rare, it's not even worth even contemplating trying to up a sidebow yet. Mammoth Maulers need a huge boost, and there was already a post about this. And Mammoth Maulers, I think, can be used quite a lot, but the attack on them so pathetic, it's no one's even bothering using them. They're not even as good as epic spears the intense Mammoth Maulers are, and they're two-handed, so you can't use a shield. And BWAs are pretty good, and you can get some fast BWAs now, and you obviously can wear a plus 10 strength shield in theory with that. So that Bloodstained Blade are good. I think the 5th sword's a very high attack, but again the drop rate's very low on these. I just think, and I've said this all along, give people the chance to make a new weapon, give people the incentive to make a new weapon. At the moment, it's very difficult to get any of these, and there's a very difference between making a plus 5 any of these and a plus 8. A plus 8 is so difficult to get. You've obviously got to get the diamonds, you've got to make the diamonds into an SS, then you've got to have a success from kind of 6, 7, and 8, which I've done. How many? I've made 1 plus 8 bow, but it was already a plus 5 when I got it. So it's one of them where it's so difficult to do. it just the drop rate needs to be drastically improved on this. I just don't see the issue with increasing the drop rate. It gives everybody something to work towards to kind of make the stingers and the apple bows irrelevant, and even all the ones that have taken 5 years to make irrelevant. I mean, how many +8 bows are there in the game? There's maybe 5 or 6 decent +8 bows in 5 years. So it's I don't. It's going to take a lot longer to make any of these +8, decent kind of bow or anything like that. There's only one +8 spear that's decent in the game at the moment. I've never seen a +8 pan. I've seen a +6. I've never seen a +8. I don't think. I've never seen a +7. I don't think of a Bloodstained. And Mammoth Mauls no one's even bothering with. So this is a thing with them. Just make them more common so people can go and make them and make all the stinger bows and the other bows are kind of irrelevant and passed down to the people who aren't on these mobs yet. Again, Titus armor, I think remove the untags because they're just complete junk and are a bit depressing really when you pick one up. Make it so the combined increases this to 7% and the boots to 7%. I think that would be a nice touch on both male and female. I can't remember if the tops increase MA. I think they do, but again, maybe I can't remember if it increases from rare to epic to intense. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but if they don't, maybe make them do. All these are good, I think, but I don't know why blue pills are here. They're just complete and utter waste. They shouldn't be on the drop file. Troll wristband. Now, these are a really nice touch, which I'm going to talk about in a minute when I look at some items. I've had one hard tag in the whole time I've been here. They're just so rare, and I think increasing these again is a big bonus to the game because people then need to make new rings. Remove stingers level items from this. It's getting a fucking untagged pike when you've been hunting these for 2 hours. It's more of a kick in the teeth than anything. So I think these shouldn't be on here now. I just remove these. Felt I think increasing the drop on these. Again, I've had one hard I think since I've been here on these, and I'd love to make a decent one of these, but I can't get hold of them. We still don't know what these do yet. I'm just collecting them up at the moment. These are a nice touch. I think keep these in. I think critical earring. Sorry, not the critical earring. What do you call it? The Warby stud should be added. But again, remove the untagged version of all of these. To be honest with you, these ones are the same, no matter what tag they are. It's just the Jura changes. I don't know if that's how it's meant to be or what, but if it is, that's fine. The untags can remain them. But yeah, there definitely is a Warby stud added, and then people have got the opportunity to then make a new attack earring with the the new kind of keen eye upgrade. Because keen eye would change from 2 to 0 to 2 to 2, or yeah, that's right, 2 to 0 to 2 to 2. So it makes all the attack accessories now, not irrelevant because obviously still okay until you make new ones. But this is why I'm saying we need increase on trolls, increase on OTMs or tagged OTMs, should I say, and then the Warby stud add in, and then all the melee attack accessories, which is kind of the main thing what people have. They've got to kind of work towards them, but again, at a drop rate that is pointful. That's not going to take you another 5 years to do it. So let me just come to what I was actually going to show you on these. So I'm actually going to take some items. So I was actually talking about the troll ring. So let me just move that there. So this is obviously an old attack ring, 13 attack. This is kind of if you did an intense hero ring, I think it was plus 14 attack, but I've only ever seen one of them. So most people have got 12 to 13 attack rings, and obviously you want to make sure that you're making newer items as these go up. So if you take I think they go up by 1 to 0 as these go up. So let's say a rare troll ring would be 4 to 9. Adding 5 keen eyes would then make it 14 to 19. Okay, so a rare troll ring with plus 5 would be 14 to 19 compared to 13 to 13. So you can see why that's relevant. But again, the amount of rubies to make enough keen eyes to make that work, and the amount of rare or better troll rings to make that work would take, as of now, again, I think 5 years for majority of people to kind of make that. I just think we need to bring that down. So 1 by adding med rubies to the trolls, and 2 increasing the drop rate to this. And then anyone who's made these, which majority of people have now, these are kind of become irrelevant. These can then be sold for cheaper to the people who are kind of leveling up, or the people who've come new to the game. They want half decent items. If I was made one that was a bit better than this, I'd sell this relatively cheap, probably sell it for some rubies or some keen eyes, and then I've got more chance of getting these stuff. Again, with OTM, this is I've had this OPM for a long time. So the rare OTMs are 5 to 10, I think it is. So this obviously plus 5 would be 15 to 10. So the new a new one of these, so if you got a rare OTM and made it +5 with a new Kenai, would then make it 15 to 20? Was that right? 15 to 20. Yeah, I think it would. Yeah, because add 2 to 2, so it'd be 5. Yeah, 15 to 20. So again, you can see that's a huge incentive for people to make new OTMs. I think that's massive. But again, maybe a slight increase in OTMs, maybe a slight increase in, and obviously adding the rubies to the melee mob that you should be hunting for these items. Same with the Warby Stud. So this is an old Warby Stud epic +5. So again, this kind of went 12 to 9. So I think these would be 2 to 9, wouldn't they? So these would go from to 12 to 19. So that'd be a huge difference. But Warby Studs are only dropped by, I think, the tire boss, I think, off the top of my head. So again, they're so rare. So maybe adding these to trolls would be handy. Again, don't make them untag because I just hate untag items. So the melee people. So again, I've just got to think now as a melee character. Once I'm capped, at the moment, trolls wouldn't be worth mining for me because of the drops. I'd kind of end up all day with kind of all this stuff, which wouldn't really be worth it. I'd probably have to go back to BLG to get rubies, but then I would be killing them so fast and annoying the people leveling there. I'd have probably 8 BLGs around me at all times with 99% evasion, and everyone would be like, "Oh, you're hogging all the BLGs." So I don't really want to go back to BLGs to get some more rubies. I'd rather hunt them on the monster that I should be hunting now. It's kind of a bit silly that I have to go back to two monsters below, 3 monsters below where I should be to get some items to make an item, to better than what I've got. So yeah, rubies and generally just make the trolls. Everything that you should be working towards on these is this. So you got to make basically all this new. And I don't mind that. I think that's fine. I don't mind working as long as after kind of 4 hours of grinding, I've got something to show towards, to work towards something like this. Now, as for weapons, this is the bow I've got at the moment. So I've got to now make a bow, and again, I don't want people thinking, oh, it's about archers, it's about this. I'm just talking about it in general, like the weapons that we've had and the weapons I've got to try and make better than this. And yes, this is a +8. It's probably not the best example, to be fair, but you got to talk. Majority of people probably got kind of +5, +6 stingers and things like that. For me to make a bow better than this, it's going to be a lot of work to do it, and I do want to make one better. Well, don't get me wrong; it's my goal at the moment to make a better bow. But again, the drop rates are so low in the side bows. It's going to be impossible to make this. I'm not even trying at the moment. And the epic one that I rolled is only actually what's the stats on it? It was 43 to 60, I think. Yeah, 43 to 60. So it's obviously a better minimum than this. Not a huge amount maximum. For me to get that 43 to 60 to be better than this DPS wise, it wouldn't happen. It'd be so rare. The odds would be so against me. I'm not even worth upgrading it. And the roll's really bad for that epic, to be fair. So I just think that more of a reason to get, just more shack weapons basically. And then again, once we've got the shack weapons as more of our main weapon, it gives us an incentive to again get the tier up to get, the I can't remember what they're called, the new bows, to make one of them. So that's kind of the melee side of things, I think. So let's just pause the video now and let's come to the... Okay, so this is a mage mob. It's the Necro Wasp. Sorry. So I've actually not hunted these yet, but I've got a bit of feedback off Rocky because he's probably spent the majority of the time here on these mobs. He said, I asked him how many staffs he's had since he's been leveling, and he said he's had 2 rare Azuras in the whole time he's been there. So I think the thing is with mages, they've never really had to focus on their weapon, on their staff. It's just more been what tag they get. I think if there's an ability to add a CT to this, so it can add 2 to 2 magic attack for the staff, I think that would then give mages something new to work towards, so they can make a very nice magic attack staff, and I think that would be nice to see. All the drops, this is actually the first time I looked at these drops. So the Valk Stud, so it's obviously the mages drop the Valk Stud. This is why I was saying the Warby Stud should be good for the melee. These are great, and again, just making sure that none of the untags are dropped. Warp Neckies I don't think should be dropped because these are the new Warp Neckies basically. The Necro Sting, so maybe I'll probably remove this. Shira ones, no one will ever use them, and same with Golden Thunder Rods. I think just remove these there. It should only be Azuras on this. I don't think I've seen anyone use these who's kind of over level 100 at the moment. Then on the Necro Sting, Rocky's had 1 untag from these in the whole time he's been there, but he said these are really good to upgrade with CTs. They're kind of a lot better than the Warp Necklaces, and obviously anyone who made a Warp Necklace in the past, I think the CTs work the same as the Kenais. They were I think they were 2-0. So again, the same principles. What I'm saying with the keen eyes for the melees need to be happening for the CTs for the majors. So they need to create a new warp neckies, so i.e. necro stings, new earrings. So they were obviously upgrading the magic earrings. They were the easiest ones to do because they kind of went from, I think a rare tag was +3 magic attack, and then a 5, then it'd be 5, 7, 9, 11, etc. So no one's really upgraded these as much, but the Valk studs would be far superior to the magic attack earrings, especially if it's a good tag once you've upgraded it with a few CTs. So increase the drops on these, increase the drops on these, it would be good. Remove the old rods, increase these rods with a CT available. Somebody mentioned that there was too many of what you call them, procs, but again, Dan said a quite interesting thing about it's like saying there's too many flavors of ice cream. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if there's much difference in any of these. I've not tried it, I've not played around with them, but yeah, there's nothing wrong, I don't think, with having a few of these. The thorns and crystals and all that stuff, no one really has a clue what's going on with these at the moment. And I think the only thing that he's adding on here would be some sort of ring that they can add CTs to make new CT rings, because that's the only item that a mage couldn't think. So maybe like a basically equivalent of a troll ring. So I'd say an Emma ring, say kind of like 2 to 4 or 4 to 6 or something if it was a higher tag, and then you can add a CT to it, and then obviously that can go and that can go after that. Even with a proc, another proc's quite nice that you've got Infernal 3s and wherever the earring is of the 3s. There's the earring. Can't find it. Earring. Infernal. Oh, maybe it doesn't drop it unless I'm looking right at it. Maybe they don't. Okay, maybe I don't know why these don't drop the flame earring 3s. Yeah, I don't know why. They should drop the flame earring 3s if they haven't. It gives basically the proc people another 4% proc once they max them out. So that's pretty decent. So they can kind of make 60. I think it'd be 66% proc would be the highest they can make, which I think it's pretty good. I think anything higher than that, it becomes a little bit OP. So I think that's a nice touch. I was going to maybe suggest some proc rings, but I don't think it's needed. I mean, the erratic rings are good, but they can't be upgraded, obviously, with more proc. I think 66% is pretty high for proc mage, and Rocky's good fun to play with a proc mage. So yeah, I think it's just a slight tweak in them. And again, just an increase in drop rates overall, because I think the thing is with the economy as well, the economy's been so dead recently, like trades just haven't been happening. I mean, I'm a big fan of trading. I trade all the time, and I'm just getting nothing for nothing. It's just impossible to trade. So many things are untag, and people are just kind of hoarding a lot of these. Where are they? These new items, the clean rocks, the crystals, the thorns, the fury spirits, because no one knows what they do. So it's quite hard to start trading any of these new items yet, because we don't know what happens with them and we don't know what the value is. So maybe just a bit of a more of a tease, should we say, of what should do with these, so we can start working out the items of, what's a clean rock worth, what's a crystal shard worth, what's a thorn worth, what's a fury spirit worth, what's a thunderstone worth. So all those things, so they can then start to be added to the economy to be traded. I think let me just come back to the original post and make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. So I think that's probably everything. I think in general, drop rates is a big issue on majority of the mobs. So there's nothing wrong. I don't see the issue with increasing drop rates across the board by a reasonable percentage as well. Even when people want to go back to mags for a bit to get some maybe DTs and RDTs and a bit of bone arm or whatever. There's nothing wrong with increasing that now. I think we're at that stage in the server where to get anything better than what's been made over the last 5 years, it would probably take another 5 years, but I don't think that's a good place to be with it. So like I said before, this is my opinion. I don't want it to be offended anyone. I don't want to offend any of the GMs with their hard work. I think it's obviously they've put a hell of a lot of time into the server. My goal is literally just to try and express my opinion. If this helps in any way, then it helps. If it doesn't, then just completely ignore what I've just said. Please don't be offended by it. So yeah, until next time, Soma fans.